Have you ever trusted someone so completely that you never imagined they could betray you? Now imagine discovering that the two people closest to you had shattered your entire world. In a single moment. What would you do? Would you fight? Would you forgive? Or would you disappear without saying a word? This is the story of Lady Eleanor Ashford, a woman who walked away from love, privilege, and a title, only to return years later with a secret powerful enough to change an entire duchy forever. Before we begin, subscribe if you enjoy dramatic aristocratic stories filled with betrayal, hidden heirs, and unforgettable endings. Now, let's begin. Lady Eleanor Ashford was everything society admired. Graceful, kind, intelligent, the daughter of an earl. At 22, she was engaged to Duke Alexander Blackwood, one of the wealthiest noblemen in England. Their wedding was only weeks away. The newspapers called them the perfect couple, the future Duke and Duchess. Servants whispered about how deeply Alexander adored her. Even Eleanor believed their love could survive anything. She was wrong. One rainy evening, Eleanor returned unexpectedly to Blackwood Manor. She wanted to surprise Alexander with a gift, a pocket watch engraved with their initials. Is it? She heard laughter coming from the library. First she smiled, until she recognized another voice. Her younger sister, Lady Vivian. Curious, Eleanor quietly approached the slightly open door. Then she saw them. Alexander's hand rested on Vivian's waist. Vivian kissed him. And he kissed her back. Not for a moment. Not by accident. It was the kiss of two people who had crossed the line long before that evening. The pocket watch slipped from Eleanor's fingers. The sound echoed through the room. Alexander turned. Eleanor! Vivian stepped back, pale with fear. But Eleanor said nothing. Not a scream. Not a tear. She simply looked at both of them. Then walked away. Sometimes silence hurts more than any accusation ever could. The next morning, Lady Eleanor Ashford was gone. No farewell. No explanation. Only a short letter. Do not search for me. Her family assumed she had fled because of heartbreak. The Duke searched for weeks, months, years. Nothing. Eventually, society moved on. Alexander married no one. Vivian was quietly sent abroad after whispers of the scandal spread through London's elite. People assumed Eleanor had died. But Eleanor had done something far more remarkable. She had started over, hundreds of miles away, in a quiet coastal village. She lived under another surname, Mrs. Eleanor Hart. She taught children how to read. She baked bread. She lived in a tiny cottage covered in climbing roses. To the villagers, she was simply a gentle widow. No one knew she had once been destined to become a duchess. A little boy appeared. 5-year-old Henry. Bright blue eyes. Dark hair. Exactly like Duke Alexander. Everyone believed Henry had been adopted. Eleanor never corrected them. She simply loved him. Protected him. Raised him. The truth, only she knew. Weeks before discovering Alexander's betrayal, she had already been carrying his child. When she left Blackwood Manor, she wasn't only escaping heartbreak. She was protecting the life growing inside her. She refused to let her son become another pawn in aristocratic politics. So she vanished. Forever. Or so she thought. 6 years later, fate intervened. A violent storm forced Duke Alexander's carriage off the main road. His injured horses could travel no farther. The nearest shelter. Small village school. When Alexander stepped inside, he froze. Standing beside a chalkboard was Eleanor, older, calmer, still breathtaking. Their eyes met. Neither spoke. A little boy ran into the room. Mother! He hugged Eleanor tightly. Alexander smiled politely, until the child looked up. Blue eyes. His blue eyes. The Duke felt his heart stop. That evening, Alexander asked the question he feared most. Is he mine? Eleanor looked out the window for a long time, then quietly answered, yes. The room fell silent. Alexander struggled to breathe. For 6 years. He had unknowingly lived without his own son. He whispered, "Why didn't you tell me?" Eleanor's answer cut deeper than any blade. "Because the man I loved died the night I found him with my sister." Alexander closed his eyes. He had no defense, no excuse, no argument, only regret. Alexander begged Eleanor to return, not for the title, not for society, but because Henry deserved to know his father. Eleanor refused. Once broken, cannot simply be repaired by apology. So Alexander remained in the village. For weeks, helping repair homes damaged by the storm, reading stories to Henry, teaching him horseback riding, never revealing his true identity. He wanted Henry to know him, not as a duke, but as a man. Slowly, Henry began calling him Mr. Alexander. One day, "Father," Alexander quietly cried after hearing that single word. Months passed. Eleanor watched from a distance. The arrogant duke she once loved was gone. In his place stood a humble father who expected nothing, demanded nothing, only time. One evening, Henry asked a simple question. "If father leaves, will he disappear again?" Alexander answered before Eleanor could. "No, never again." It was a promise made not to Eleanor, but to his son, and this time, he intended to keep it. Years later, when the elderly duke finally passed away, Alexander inherited the entire duchy, but he shocked every noble family in England. Instead of hiding Henry's existence, he publicly introduced him as his lawful heir. Many aristocrats protested. Others demanded proof. Alexander simply presented Eleanor's private letters, medical records, birth documents, everything. There was no denying the truth. The forgotten child had always been the rightful heir. Society was stunned. The same woman they believed had vanished in disgrace returned with the future duke. As for Vivian, she lived quietly overseas. She never married. Some betrayals cost far more than reputation. They cost an entire future. Did Eleanor ever fully forgive Alexander? Perhaps not. Some wounds never completely heal. But forgiveness isn't always about forgetting. Sometimes, it's about choosing a better future for those who come after us. Henry grew into a respected duke. No, not for wealth, but for compassion. He inherited his mother's kindness and his father's determination to become a better man. And every spring, the family visited the small village where everything had changed, not because it was grand, but because that humble place reminded them of a simple truth. Titles can be inherited, fortunes can be rebuilt, but trust must be earned, one choice at a time. If you enjoyed this story, leave a comment telling us, could you forgive someone after a betrayal like Eleanor's? And don't forget to subscribe for more unforgettable tales of love, betrayal, hidden heirs, and aristocratic secrets. Until next time, thanks for watching.